Hey, bonjour. Welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, I have a French guest for you. He has been crushing it in France, selling over 100,000 copies of his book. This guy, Olivier Roland, he's a 19-year-old dropout. He created his first business and never looked back. He's now a serial entrepreneur, blogger, YouTuber, startup investor, bestseller, author. He's done a lot of things. He's built a global audience of over 450,000 fans. And now he's just on a mission to show you don't need to be like a brilliant student or brilliant in school to create an incredible business and be an entrepreneur. So I am very excited to dive in, and let's go. Hey, Olivier, welcome to the show. How are you?
Bonjour Rachel, how are you?
Bonjour.
I'm great. Thank you.
Très bien.
You do speak good French, actually. I'm surprised.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So let's just dive in. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Sure. So, I started to be an entrepreneur very, very early in my life because I left school at 18. I'm a high school dropout to build my first company, which was an IT business. I started like just very simply by repairing the computers of other people,
Okay.
And it was an amazing adventure. But after a few years, I realized that maybe this company I created to be free was actually a jail I created for myself. Because like many entrepreneurs, most of them actually, I was working a lot, like 60, 70 hours a week.
Wow.
My company was my only source of income. So I didn't see how I could sell it or I could stop it, And I was like, hey, I would like to have more balance in my life between my professional and my personal life.
Yeah.
And I can't because I'm like, the prisoner of my own business, and it was like a hard realization, to have. So I looked for a solution for years, and then I read a book. Maybe you have heard of it because it's a very famous book. It's a 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
One of my first personal development books back in like 2010. So great book.
Yeah. I read it in 2008, and it basically gave me a slap like this,
Yeah.
because it gave me like suddenly a goal, which was to have an internet business that could give me the freedom I was aspiring to.
Yeah.
And I read a second book, a book that actually Tim Ferriss recommends at the end of his book, which is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
The E-Myth, yep.
Yeah. Also amazing book about, basically the book described why I was prisoner of my own business. I was thinking it's only my problem. I must be the only one in the world to have this. And I realized actually it's very common, So another slap in 2 weeks. and then, so this started my journey for the business I have right now, which is I teach basically people how to start and grow a business that is in service of their life, instead of their life being in service of their business, So how to be a successful entrepreneur while having a good balance between your personal and your professional life.
Yeah, I love it. So you were 18 when you started your business. You were living in France at the time?
Yes.
And you dropped out of school to start your business. Because when I think of France, because I live there, I don't think of it as being very entrepreneurial. And so
No.
Right. Were you just like, people thought you were insane to be dropping out of school to start your business at 18?
Oh, yeah. So I dropped school at 18 and I started the business 1 year later because for 1 year I had to work on the project,
Yeah.
But so, I think, France is not very, doesn't have a very entrepreneurial mindset.
Right.
But I think even in the US, most people would think I was crazy, because
That's
it's not
true.
it's not so common for teenagers to drop school at 18 to start a business, right?
Right.
So most people thought I was crazy, or I was doing something stupid. And I always say, I'm very glad I didn't do a survey at the time to inform my decision. I have to add that it can seem crazy, but I did something that really is at the core of my philosophy and something I recommend for people who want to be entrepreneur. Before I did this life-changing decision to stop school and start my company, I did a small experiment that didn't disturb my life at all, to see if my idea of making money with a computer, could work. So with a friend, we realized that a lot of people were asking us like a lot of questions all the time about computer problems that for them was like super big, and for us, we could resolve them like this. So we were like, hey, maybe we can make money with that. So instead of dropping school and start the business, we decided, hey, we were asking ourselves, hey, how can we test this idea right now without disturbing our life? And we just bought a small ad in a local newspaper for a very small amount of money, the equivalent of maybe $10, And in 1 month, we had something like $800 of sales.
Wow.
So, yeah. And we didn't have a car. We were young. We looked very young, like geeks, really, with the whole package, And I mean, with these experiments, I could see that, yes, I had the skills. People were happy about what I could bring to them, and they were paying me. So these experiments gave me the confidence to do this. Yep. And, in entrepreneurship, you have basically 2 schools of thought. You have the people who say, hey, in order to succeed, you need to burn your ships. So you have only 2 options: either you win or you die, right. Basically. And I'm not a fan at all of this approach, because it's very risky. Because right. Yes, you've heard of the successful stories, but you don't hear about all the people who died actually,
right.
Or had very serious problems because of this. So my philosophy is exactly what I shared. Like, if you want to do something life-changing, what is the smallest experiments you can do in your life that will not disturb many things, that you can do with the smallest amount of time, money, and resources to see if your idea is good or not. And when I transitioned from my first company to my actual business, I did the same. It was not like something I did like crazy. I gradually built my actual business while at the same time I was managing my first, and I did the transition very gradually.
Yeah. Yeah, as you mentioned it, that's exactly kind of what I did too, because I was doing both businesses at the same time, and it wasn't until I think 4 months in that I was like, no, this is what I got to do, and I let go of the other one. Okay, so you talk about being an intelligent rebel. What does that mean to you?
Well, an intelligent rebel is someone who externally can have all the signs of success, this person can have like a good job in a good company, a good salary, a good house, a good car, a good spouse, everything, But inside, this person feels that something is missing, that if he continues like this, is not going to be the best version of himself or herself. And usually what is missing is creation. It can be the creation of his own adventure, like, for example, doing a worldwide tour for 1 year. It can be artistic creation, like, I don't know, writing a book or writing a theater piece, something like this. Or it can be creating his own business. But basically, it's about creating his own adventure in life, creating his own path. And a lot of people, a lot of intelligent rebels, some of them follow like what society tells them to do, like get a good diploma, get a good job, and blah, blah, blah. And they realize it's not enough. Something is missing. And it is this, this spark of creation, this way to create their own reality. And I'm talking about people who have success, but also some people can actually feel like, failures, like misfit, because of this. And if this person is in the education system, he can feel that he has a problem. And one of the things I talk about in my book is like, hey, if you feel like this, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe it's because the education system was designed for people who are different than you. Because when you look at the root of the education system in the Western world, most of it was designed at the end of the 19th century. Right. And the core philosophy was, hey, we want to have productive people in an industrial society. Right. Meaning we want to have good soldiers, good factory workers, good employees, So right. We want these people to be able to read and write, and we want them to follow instructions, but we don't want them to be too rebels. We don't want them to be too creative. We don't want them to be, you know, to challenge the status quo and to challenge authority.
Yep.
And when you look at how school was organized and is still organized in many parts of the world, it's very striking, the similarities with factories.
Yeah.
Because you have like a bell that is ringing every hour.
Yep.
You have, you know, people align like this with the teacher who is like in a position of authority, usually on a, I don't know if to say it in English, but you know, on the step somewhere. In many schools in the world, you had to wear a uniform for a long time. I mean, in some countries like the UK, it's still the case, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there is this like similarity with factory, and it's not a random occurrence. It's because by design it was made for people who were designed to be workers, factory workers, this kind of stuff. So and I mean, you have to understand the governments at the time. At the end of the 19th century, usually rebels were really rebels. They were doing revolutions, you know, like in France, in Paris in 1870, there was a revolution called the Commune, and the communists took over Paris for a few months, and it was bloody, you know. So the governments were really wary about this kind of people. But nowadays, you know, rebels, they are creating startups, you know, they're creating different stuff. They are not revolutionaries anymore. I mean, they are, but not in a bloody way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So of course, the education system really evolved a lot since then, but the core philosophy is still the same. Yeah. And I'm just telling the intelligent rebels. So yeah, maybe you're creative, maybe you are a rebel, maybe you are challenging authority, and actually it's not a problem. First, you need to understand this. You need to understand the system was not designed with you in mind, you know. Yep. And it can be a strength if you know how to play your cards right.
For sure. You're making me think of Gary Vaynerchuk. You're familiar with him, right?
I know him a bit. I'm not familiar, but yeah, I watch a few of his videos, of course, like everyone.
Yeah, like he just like really comes to my mind as being an intelligent rebel, of someone who like went to school but hated it and got terrible grades, and it was just like he was not meant to thrive in a school environment, which not everybody is. Like it's, you try to push everyone into like this one way to do things, when some of us, like we're meant for more. We're meant for doing something differently. And so he started his businesses when he was young, and has crushed it. His book is called Crushing It, and crushed it really good. But yeah, it just totally made me think of him, of how he was meant to be an entrepreneur, not necessarily go to school, get a job, follow the system of how it's designed for most people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for what I saw, it seems to perfectly fit the description. Yes.
For sure. So what are the 3 vital principles of an intelligent rebel?
So yeah, that's the things that I shared at the start of my book. And, you know, I start with a quote saying, basically, you know, there are millions of methods, but the principles are few. And it's by Harrington Emerson, if I remember correctly. And the person who understands the principles can choose his methods more efficiently than the one who chooses methods randomly without understanding the principles. And I think it's very true. You know, I was really like amazed by this quote when I read it the first time. And so I really try to share 3 core principles for intelligent rebels that I think are really universal. So the first one is to understand, and I mean really understand, not only intellectually, but also in your guts, right? That in every field you can imagine, especially the ones you are the most interested in, you have more effective methods than others. And I mean, when I say that, it seems obvious. People will be like, yeah, okay, thank you. But actually, in a lot of different fields, people don't realize it. And I give one example in my book. I mean, I give a lot of examples in my book, but one of the examples is making money. That's the quintessence of a field where most people think, hey, if it will be so easy to make more money, everyone will know it, you know? And they just stop this. Every time they hear of a method to make more money, a lot of people are super skeptical and they don't give it a try because they think it's a scam. They think if it will be so efficient, people will know it, etc., etc. But in the field of making money, like in all of the others, you have more efficient methods than others. And you need to be open about this, and you need to be open about the fact that basically everything that surrounds us is the process, the result of a method that was proven more efficient than all the others in the history, of humanity. So if you are an employee, it is the worst way ever to make money, because you are exchanging your time from your money, and your time is what is most precious, obviously, right?
Yep.
So you really want to avoid to do that in the long term. It's fine to start with this, it's okay. And when I say employee, I'm also talking to entrepreneurs, because a lot of the entrepreneurs actually exchange that time for their money too, like coaches, all the people who do services and these kind of things. And I think it's very important for an entrepreneur to realize this and to understand that there is a difference between creating your job and creating a business. It's not the same thing. It's good to start by creating your job, and that's what most entrepreneurs do. That's what I did when I created my first business. It's already a step forward compared to being an employee. At least you are creating your own reality. But if you are the employee of your company, there are a lot of problems with this, and usually you end up the slave of your own business, like what happened to me. So if you have the entrepreneur mindset, the real one, you want to create a business, you want to have a business. And what is the difference between creating your job and creating your business? Is simple. If you create your job, you are basically a one-man's band. You're playing all the instruments at the same time. If you are building a business, you are orchestra chief. I don't know how to say it in English. The guy who is doing like the how do you say that? Like the orchestra master, the leader, the one who is.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't think of the name in English. So, I'm like, nope.
In French, we say chef d'orchestre. It's like the leader, basically.
Yeah.
So, and it's important because the guy who is leading the orchestra, he doesn't have to play all the instruments by himself. He doesn't have to be good at any instrument. Actually, just have to be good at making everyone playing good, together. So many stuff. So just one example, but in every field you are interested in, like being a better spouse, making love, everything, you can be better, and you can find better methods. And if you understand these, you will like aim your mind to look for this kind of stuff, So that's the first principle, to understand this really in your guts, and not just intellectually. Second thing is to be a good skeptic. What do I mean by that? I shared like previously that most people, when they hear about a method that is more efficient to earn money than just having a salary, they are very skeptical. And actually, I think it's healthy to be skeptical, because there are a lot of scams, obviously, also. And the key is to separate the good from the bad. But so how do you do that? Well, you want to be skeptic because it's healthy, but you want to be skeptic in the good way. Meaning, instead of using your skepticisms to don't do anything, you use your skepticisms to do experiments in your life. It's connected to what I shared a few minutes ago about doing experiments in your life. Yep. When you hear about a method that seems maybe too good to be true, maybe you're like, is it a scam? Is it really working? Will it work for me? Instead of rejecting it, use this skepticism to fuel your curiosity and ask yourself, okay, what kind of experiments could I do in my life to test this, to see if it's true or not? There are many examples in history of people who were skeptics of things that we take for granted now. I give an example in my book about Dick Fosbury, who was the first to, do an Olympic sport in a way that look completely crazy, and now everyone is doing it, and a lot of people were skeptical at the start. So you look for a good method, then you try them with a good skepticism mindset. Very important. Basically, you want to be a scientist for your own life. Yep. And it's fun too. It's very fun because all the time you can do experiments, and maybe sometimes they will fail, sometimes they will don't bring you anything, but sometimes you will stumble upon some gold, and it's very fun to always be open to this kind of stuff. And obviously you cannot try everything, so you need also to choose your battles, but at least you will try way more things than the average people. And just this is going to give you a big advantage. And the third principle is, once you identify good methods, and yes, they are, you try them and you see they are good, you use the Pareto's approach, which is to focus on the 20% of this method that bring 80% of the results. You know,
Pareto's law. Yep.
Yeah, very famous, right? He was a famous Italian economist, and basically, it's not a law per se, but it works very well. And in a lot of different fields, you have 20% of the causes that create 80% of the consequences. Like 20% of the countries have 80% of the wealth. In a factory, 20%, 80% of the problems come from 20% of the product, etc., etc. You know, and in companies, usually 80% of the income comes from 20% of the customers. When I stumbled upon this law, I tried it in my first company, and I was shocked because I calculated that 17% of my customers were bringing 81% of the revenue. So it was, of course, it's never exactly 20 and never exactly 80, but it's close, you know. And you just understand that there is like this, there is this small amount of causes that creates a lot of consequences. So if you know this and you want to, you can use it for your own advantage by focusing on, in these methods, what is really bringing the most of the value. So when you wrap everything together, these three core principles that I think are really universal, it means you're always looking for good methods, and you begin to it begins to be a real competence, a real skill, because you will have an eye to spot this kind of method. It's not going to work all the time, obviously, but you're going to be better than the average person at spotting good methods. Then you try them with good skepticism mindset, and also you will develop the skill of trying them or doing experiments in your life. And then once you identify them and you begin to master them, you focus on what is really good inside the good method. So you develop like a whole range of very effective methods, and by focusing on what really is important, you have more time to use everything together, you know. So this is going to give you a huge advantage in life.
For sure. I love it. So you've created just this awesome business that gives you freedom. You're now in Dubai and you've been kind of all over the place. What's a big mistake or a lesson that you've learned on the road to creating that freedom for yourself?
Well, so for now I've been an entrepreneur for like almost 22 years.
You started when you were 2. You look very young.
Yeah, thank you. I'm 41 actually, but I know I look young.
You look
so
very
I hope
young.
it's going to continue like this for a long time. Yeah, but see, that's maybe, I mean, that's also the thing. I use this methodology for my health too. I really try to learn as much as possible about how to be healthy and live a long life. And it seems to work. Maybe it's my genetics too, but I mean, so far so good, right?
You definitely don't look 41. Yeah.
Yeah, most people think I'm like 32, 33, 34. So that's good. We'll see in 10 years if it's still the case. Like if I still look 10 years younger. So sorry, what was your question again?
Biggest failure or mistake that you made? Yeah.
So in 22 years, I did a lot of mistakes. I don't know if you want me to focus on my second company, my internet company.
Either one. Yeah, either one. Just like a lesson that you learned of like, oh my gosh.
All right.
Yeah.
No, so for me, the hardest thing the hardest thing at the beginning was to understand what it means to be an entrepreneur. You know, that's also the problem when you start with because most people, I said they are creating their job and not a business. And what it means also, it means they start from their skills, from their technical skills, which is great. It's probably the easiest way to start, but you need to understand it's not because you are a good plumber that you are a good entrepreneur. Right. If you are a good plumber as an employee, it's great. But if you want to be your own boss, you create your own business as a plumber, you need to realize that you need to understand how to manage a business, how to do the budget, how to do the marketing, how to sell yourself, how to find customers, all this kind of stuff. So it's a whole new job that you're adding on top of your job, you know.
Right.
So this is very important to understand, and it can take a while. I mean, I don't want to discourage people, because I think actually creating your business is a great way to learn all of these, you know, and it's
For
a
sure.
great skill that will serve you for the rest of your life.
Yep.
But so for me, it was hard at the beginning. I almost went bankrupt 6 months after I created my first business, you know.
Wow.
And then I learned my first lesson, because I was tempted, you know, I was ashamed, because I did ask for money from my family, and I took some loans and this kind of stuff. And I was ashamed, because I was like, I need a bit more money, because I did so many mistakes, but I'm ashamed to tell the story, you know, because, you know, a lot of people were waiting for me, you know, at the corner, like, because, oh, this dude is stopping school at 18, what a moron, you know.
Yeah.
And I chose to, I showed that I understood that it's better to choose the bull than the ostrich. I think you say the same, you have the same expression in English, like, I took the bull by the horn.
Oh yeah,
I took the bull by the horns, instead of putting my head in the sand like an ostrich, you know?
Yes. Yep.
You have the same expressions, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we do also in French. Because, so I decided to go all in and tell everyone who helped me in the process of building my business that I did make a lot of mistakes, but I also did an analysis of my business model, and I told them, hey, look, my business model is good. I think I did many mistakes. That's why now I need a bit more money. But I think now that I understand what are the mistakes I made, I will not make them again. And I know now how to get customers and stuff. So I just need this small amount of money. And I think it's going to help me, you know, to make this business profitable. And so some people listen to me and get me a small loan. You know, it was like 5,000 or 6,000 euros. That's just what I needed to continue. And this business, well, lasted more than 10 years. And then I sold it when my second business was starting to be good, you know. Mm-hmm. So very important, when you're an entrepreneur, you need to choose the bull and not the ostrich, okay? Be a bull, not an ostrich. And also, I think that's what is so great about being an entrepreneur. You have to face reality.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't, at some point you're going to be bankrupt. There is no other way, you know. So being an entrepreneur is like a path that you choose that really forces you to face reality all the time, all the time. And yeah, I mean, it keeps you accountable with the universe. Yeah. Basically, you know, it's a spiritual path in a way, you know, not even in a way, it is a spiritual path. Yeah. You cannot be an ostrich for too long, maybe for a few days.
You got to pull your head out of the sand.
Yeah. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I made a mistake. I thought this product would work and nobody wants to buy it. Okay, fuck. Yeah. But yeah, you know, but then you're like, all right, so why did I think this product will work, and what happened, you know? And then you create the next version and you pivot and whatever. So yeah, and I mean, then I did many mistakes. Also, it's very hard when you recruit your first employee, you know, because also it's a new skill you have to learn how to recruit and how to manage different stuff. Some people, they spend 30 years on this and they are still not good, you know. So yeah. So
when you think about someone who's been in a job like for 40 years doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, and then as an entrepreneur, it's like you constantly have to reinvent yourself and learn new skills and all these other things if you want to keep growing. Yeah. So what does it mean to you to make an impact?
Yeah, good question. Well, basically it means adding value to humanity, you know. That's, you know, the old saying that you want to leave the world in a better shape that when you arrived, you know. So yeah, I mean, I met some entrepreneurs who, I mean, if you just look at what they did without looking at their business, it's amazing, you know. I met a guy, he started in a very poor district in France, and now he's a millionaire. He has his amazing lifestyle. He doesn't work a lot, you know. So far, so good. You're like, wow, crazy. But when you look at his business, what he's doing, online casinos. And I mean, I'm sorry, but does it bring value to humanity?
Right.
Some people who are, yes, you know, it's a distraction. People need to be distracted and stuff. You know, I think we have plenty of distractions already in our society. I don't think it adds a lot. Right. So, you know, I think it's important to add this dimension in your goals and in your path. especially if, like me, you think the entrepreneur path is a spiritual path. So it's also connected to the Japanese concept of ikigai. You've heard of ikigai, right?
No.
No? Oh, really? Okay. It's very interesting. This is a Japanese concept. It's like you could, I think you say also in English, it's like a French word, raison d'être. You know, raison d'être, maybe? No? It's like the reason of being, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Raison d'être.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Raison d'être. And basically, you could translate ikigai by this reason of being, raison d'être. And it's you find your ikigai if you find something that it's as a crossway of four things. If you do something that you're passionate about, that you can make money with, you can make a living with, that you are skillful in, and that is your mission in life. And what is your mission in life is basically, you know, what Gandhi was saying, be the change you want to see in the world. So if your business is aligned with all the four things, it's perfect. You found your ikigai, awesome. Then it's going to be great. You know, it's going to be a great adventure. It's not so easy to find your ikigai. So, I mean, I always share this as an inspiration, as something to look at. You know, it's like the North Star. It's guiding you, but it's okay if when you start, your business is not an ikigai. You know, my first business was not an ikigai. I was passionate about computers. I was skillful in it. I was making money with it. But was it the mission in my life? Was I really so passionate about making the world a better place by the computers working better? Not really, you know. Now I found my ikigai, because what I do is, so I help entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs to create a business in service of their life. So yeah, I'm passionate, I make money, I'm skillful. And yes, that's the change I want to see in the world, you know. I want to see more people who are entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs with a good life balance. So it's a path, you know, and I think the ikigai is a great goal to have in the long term. So it connects to this, that's making an impact.
Yeah, for sure. Where can we connect with you?
Sorry?
Where can we connect with you?
Oh, so yeah, well, there is my book, The Way of the Intelligent Rebel. So that was translated in English. And I have a very small YouTube channel in English. My name, Olivier Roland, Olivier Roland. You can type this in YouTube and find me. And if you speak French, I have a huge YouTube channel in French. Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, and I have a blog in English. Sorry, a book that can change your life.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup. C'était vraiment génial. Thank you so much. It was awesome to have you here. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you.